Okay, there we go. Excellent. All right, I'll bring everyone in. Okay, here we are. Welcome, everyone. Oh my goodness, I love seeing everyone come in, all the interest here in this community. Hi, Hendrik and Robin, Lori. Oh, so good. Oh, Shells is here as well.
Hi, hi,
Excellent.
hi, hi, Cynthia.
Hi. Good. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Cynthia, for those of you who don't know me. And I am speaking to you from an intentional community in Vermont. So we also have a community presenting today that's from Vermont as well, but a little further south, Brattleboro, and I'm up here in Cabot. But I love seeing all the uh, diversity of intentional communities we have in this state, our little state, little brave state here. And I haven't yet been to Mahalo, so I'm excited to hear from Sid and Rihanna about their community that they've been growing. Still have a few more people coming in, so I'm just going to give it a few moments and then I'll run through a short intro presentation and then hand the floor over to the folks at Mahalo. So I'll go ahead and get my presentation up. Let's see here. Excellent. Okay, so hopefully you can see that now. And for all of those watching on the YouTube live stream, hello to you as well. You're watching a presentation about Mahalo community based here in Vermont as part of our virtual tour of intentional community series, which we do twice a month. And we've been doing this now for 3 years. So a lot of communities we've been exploring, big ones, small ones, really established, really new, really, healthy and happy, really struggling, a whole mix and diversity. And that's really what makes this show so special is that we get to, while staying home, virtually travel and visit them. And I know Mahalo is a newer community and has opportunities for new people to join. So that's going to be exciting to learn about. And we just tested it, and it seems like it will work indeed to actually take you on a virtual tour and walk around and show you the land. So I'm especially excited for that part. Okay, so a few housekeeping things. As I mentioned, we are live streaming this on YouTube. We're also hosting live here in Zoom. So for everyone here with us in Zoom, I really would encourage you to use the chat feature. Even if right now you want to find that chat button and introduce yourself, this is a great way not only to learn about the community that we're hearing from, but also to connect a bit with each other. So if you could put in a little message about where you're calling from, if you live in an intentional community, let us know which one. And what do you hope to learn or get out of today's session? What especially brings you here today? And I'll see if I can shape the conversation towards what you want to learn about. All right, so go ahead, find the chat, put in a little note. Laura here from Berkeley, California. I hope to learn more about how these communities work, including with school. Interesting. Oh, another person from LA, California, Michelle. Nice representation from California. Excellent. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll just mention, as you probably know, this event is put on in partnership with the Foundation for Intentional Community, a wonderful nonprofit organization doing a ton of good work to support the movement. It's also where you can find all of the past virtual tour events. So the Foundation for Intentional Community, FIC, they have a YouTube channel with all of these virtual tour recordings, as well as many other wonderful events and programs. So go ahead and find that channel if you're ever looking for some community inspiration. And this event is also put on by my organization called CommunityFinders. where we offer programs to support people in finding communities to join. And I know many of you are here through our membership program, so I love our Community Finders Circle members. Okay, and then I'll give you a heads up. So we're going to do the next virtual tour actually in August, August 14th. So we're missing the last week in July because I'm going to be on a tour. I'm leading a Vermont Ecovillage tour, visiting 8 different intentional communities over the course of 8 days that last week in July. So that's why we're skipping, but we'll resume again on August 14th. And we're going to Costa Rica. We're going to visit a community called Holos. And it's actually a community I got to visit in person. And the founder, Ian Michael, who's just an incredible human who has really been a mover and shaker in this space for a long time and is building this epic community there in Costa Rica. I mean, just look at this bamboo architecture they have going on. So really encourage you to join us on August 14th to travel with me down to Costa Rica and visit Holos community. All right, so that's pretty much everything I have for you. So get ready to relax and enjoy the presentation. We'll be together for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. And we'll start just from hearing from Mahalo, getting their presentation, and then we'll do Q&A towards the end. So really be thinking about what questions you want to ask, and feel free to put those questions in the chat, and I'll try to make sure we get to as many as we can. And yeah, thanks again, everyone, for putting your little notes into the chat already. We have people from Canada, Switzerland, New York City, more from California. Awesome. I love it. Okay, so that's all that I have. And I'm going to hand the floor over to Sid, who is here with us from Mahalo. Welcome, Sid. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for this really important work. I just want to express my gratitude. I feel like given what's going on in the world, internally, externally, we need community more than ever. So I bow to you and honor the work that you're doing. And thanks to everybody showing up to learn. So I'm Sid Harvey Griffith, and Rihanna is a part of Mahalo. She's on a hammock right now. And the story of Mahalo, I'll just dive right in, is that a man named Jason was living here, learning about farming and gardening and agriculture and architecture. And he was living with a woman who had built some really cool, well, specifically a temple structure here. And to make a long story short, Jason ended up purchasing the property and adding additional really cool, funky structures here. A tiny home that we call the Moon Lounge, and then his current family home. And then there's another home on the property. And so he's been living here for about 10 years, but took over about 5 years ago. And then recently, a member of the community just purchased the adjacent property. So now in total, we're calling Mahalo about like the 3.5 acres where we reside. And we're also exploring actually changing the name of the community because the temple is called Mahalo. And so the community just adopted that name. But now that we have expanded into this area, we're considering renaming this expanded now 3.5 acres to something that aligns with the greater community and continuing to call the temple Mahalo. And Rihanna, feel free to interrupt at any time if you want to add any additional information or color. But I would say the themes here of what brings us together is definitely honoring Earth and wanting to live more aligned with Earth's rhythms, permaculture, the principles of earth care, people care, fair share. There's a lot of dancing and community improv jams, and we have some kiddos on site. We have 3 kiddos here. One's here part-time, and the ages of the community, I would say, range from the little kids of like ages what is it, Rihanna? Like three,
3 is the youngest,
three is the youngest, so three, 5 year
so
old, or three,
16.
3 year old, 4 year old, 5 year old, some teenagers, and then young adults ranging from 31 to mid 40s. But we're definitely like calling in diversity of age and background and socioeconomic culture, etc. And as far as my original intention for reaching out to Cynthia, we were calling in a housemate, but that house we're not necessarily looking for housemates right now, but we have land for tiny home dwellers, and we have visions of building tiny homes and other natural structures here. And to provide a little bit of background for you on our connection to natural builders and permaculturists, Rihanna and I are part of an organization called Permatours. In the past, over the past 4 years, we've been traveling to different community centers throughout the Northeast bioregion, doing learn by doing events where people can learn about building and growing food and living in community. And so our hope and our intention, what we've been starting to cultivate here ever since I moved here in April of this year, is to invite the Permatours community to come and learn here and grow here and heal here. So we're very much wanting to do more permaculture action. We have plans to build an outhouse and an outdoor shower, an outdoor kitchen situation, more infrastructure to support that tiny home village dream. And we also want to continue hosting events here. So that temple that I mentioned can be rented out for events, and some of the land here can be rented out for events. We also do regular community jams here. That's been Thursday nights typically. We recently did a solstice gathering. But yeah, overarchingly, I would say the focus is on healing arts and earth stewardship, nurturing our gifts, our passions, authentic self-expression, heart sharing, and conflict resolution. As of course, you all know, it's inevitable to face conflict when you're living in community. And yeah, we have some cool gardens going. Rihanna's permaculture design certified and has been observing, and we've been planting fruit and nut trees, and we have a couple garden beds going. And governance was a question you asked, Cynthia. So the situation, as I mentioned, so Jason and his partner, they own the land that's next to ours. And the governance is very much like, I would say, open communication, dialogue. I wouldn't name it like consent based, but it's not like a super flushed out decision-making process. There's 13 people now in total. Now that we expanded this land, there's 3 of us on this newer side, and then about 10 on the other side. And then as far as the governance for the extended land where Rihanna Buttons and I reside, is also unfolding. Collective decision making is the idea and goal. The goal is also to quantify alternative forms of capital contributed for those who don't have as much cash or equity, or they're not on the lease. And so that is still unfolding as well. As I mentioned, I moved here in April of this year. And my dream is definitely to be a part of a community where we're egalitarian, where we collectively make decisions, and we're starting to meet more regularly as a household here and as a wider community. And definitely, I personally am inspired by sociocracy, holacracy, consent-based decision-making styles. But to be completely transparent, it's not all fleshed out yet. So we're calling in, as I mentioned, people to live here, to tend to the land, to host events here, to help actually with the building. And if you have a tiny home and you're interested in bringing it here, we are definitely open and would love to explore if it's a good fit to live here. So did you want to add any other important details, Rihanna?
Um, sure, I'll try. Um, yeah, I just want to um honor the woman who started this whole thing, Lucelena. Um, and she built the temple here on the land, and did a lot of ceremony here and like gratitude rituals, and hence the name Mahalo. And yeah, it's really magical place here. Definitely still forming. And for me personally, I wish that there was collective ownership of the land. So that is the point that's of note, is that it is private ownership, a family owning one side and another family owning the other side. And so that does kind of create a hierarchy. And so, yeah, that's something that does bring up issues from time to time, but we've been, yeah, fleshing things out. And Jason and Sula, who own the original Mahalo side, are really good at stewarding the land and being like the ones kind of with the ultimate say. Jason lived here on the land as a community member for like, I think something like 3 years before him and his wife bought the land. And so he was on the receipt or on the other end where he was doing a work trade arrangement and so on. And so he's very good at like just handling it well. So yeah, what else? Yeah, we're expanding the food forest. There's already existing food forest with um, fruits already coming. We've been eating mulberries and blackcap raspberries and other things, currants. We've got pawpaws on the land and lots of other fun things. Um, and we're just planting more now on the Ivy Lane side and envisioning a tiny house village over on the Ivy Lane side. I'm currently living in a tiny house on that side and using the common shared kitchen communal space. And we're constructing, um, the Ivy Lane side has a duplex house, and the back unit is under construction to be like even more so communal space. Like, and we're talking about building a commercial kitchen so that we can have businesses on the land, food-based businesses. Yeah, and we're working with Rich Earth Institute to put in a urine collection and human manure collection system. Yeah, and it's really magical place that there's children here. I'm sitting here in a really awesome playground, and I think the kids are all at like summer school and stuff right now, but it's really magical place for children. And yeah, you can kind of see where I'm at.
Yeah, Rihanna, if you would like to just
Yeah,
take us around a little bit and narrate what we're
sure.
looking at here. Is that the temple or what is that structure?
No, this house is the house that Jason and Sula built, the owners of the Mahalo side.
Very beautiful
And
deck.
this is actually the temple,
Okay.
temple space. Um,
Jason said you could go inside if you want. There's nobody renting it today.
okay. Yeah. Here's from the front view.
Nice.
Got some beautiful daylilies blooming on either side.
Mhm.
And I'll give a quick tour of the inside then. Let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow.
It looks good.
Sweet. Got a nice wood stove in here, which is super cozy in winter time. I arrived on the land in November. I've been in my tiny house here since November.
Nice.
And we've hosted lots of amazing events here. Small events. It's not a very large space, but mostly dance parties, where a lot of us who live here are very into dance, contact improv. So that's been a big focus here.
Oh, great.
We're hoping
And
to host more dances.
okay, yeah, there was
And the
a
kitchen.
question about your ecstatic dances. Are those open to the public?
We don't currently have one set up, but I have been desiring to get one going.
Mm,
And there are plans to um, build a larger temple space on the other side, on the Ivy Lane side, and that would have more space for dancing. The capacity in this room is technically 35, but 35 would be really tight for dancing.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, during the day, we could have an ecstatic dance outside during the day. The neighbors have been really awesome. And
Yeah,
there's
you
a
have.
bit of space.
Mhm.
We're right in town, like on a pretty busy road, but we have long driveways, so it feels like we're out in the country.
Mm,
But we have like some spaciousness between us and neighbors, even though we're in a little city. Um, so if you can see, that is the Moon Lounge, the first building that Jason built here on the land. And he did this as a work trade arrangement. But now somebody else lives here.
okay, so
And
that's a
there's actually going to
residency.
be some more. What's that?
That's a residency, you said? Somebody lives there?
Yeah, yeah, and actually it's currently in transition. Somebody is currently moving out, and we're going to be doing some construction on the tiny house, adding a little bit more space to the entry. I'm not going to go inside right now, because I don't have permission necessarily, but the kitchen is kind of small and there's no bathroom. So there's plans to expand to at least make the kitchen a little bigger. And I believe the plan is to also add a bathroom. We're doing permits right now to do expansion of the water and sewer line.
Okay, nice.
And it's got a nice little outdoor shower on the side. And there is a no longer used composting toilet facility. Um, but now there's a room in a house that is used, or a bathroom in a house is used.
Great.
And
And
yeah,
how,
this is like
hmm,
um, maturing fruit trees. We've got like pawpaws here.
mm, nice.
What was your question?
How close are you to the town of Brattleboro? You said you're in town, kind of?
Yeah, we're right in town. We're in West Brattleboro. And like it's like a 5 minute bike ride to the farmer's market. And like there's a convenience store actually right around the corner, a 5 minute walk if you desired that. And also a quick walk to the river, the Whetstone. And
Five
there's
minute
nice,
drive from downtown Brattleboro, like where the strip of
yeah,
shops and restaurants are.
Wow, it's amazing. It feels so rural, but it's so close to
yeah.
town. Wow. Oh,
And
that's a
we've,
pond there, a little pond.
yeah, we've got a cute little pond, which is much lower than the water levels are dropping um, since we're in the drier part of the season. But in the spring, there were a ton of frogs in here. And
Great.
here's our mulberry tree. We've got
Mhm.
mulberries.
Wow. Oh, I'm jealous. I'm a little too far north for
Mm,
mulberries and pawpaws. They kind of struggle here. So,
yeah,
oh,
gotcha. Yeah, and there's a little plum tree. We got more fruit
Where
trees along the driveway.
where is the space that tiny houses could go?
Um, not over there yet.
Okay.
Um, I can head that direction, but on the way, I'll show you. This is a like a perennial garden that is kind of in transition. And this is a veggie garden. And there's Jason and Sula's house again, and the temple. We've got a little outdoor fire space here, and we're talking about building a cob oven in this shed here that has wood in it. And we've got a compost situation there that we would like to improve. And a tiny house under construction, which will not be here on the land, but um, Jason is an epic builder, so could definitely build more. And here we've got Ivy Lane. This is the side that Sid and some other friends live in, and I use the common space in there for now. And driveway, front yard, and this is the under construction part of the duplex. And coming out this way, we've got currently a fire pit in this location, which will likely move once we get more tiny houses in here. So this is the space where we could have more tiny houses on trailers. There's my tiny house, my extremely tiny house. It's a 5x10 trailer. And here, we're planning to build an outdoor kitchen in here. And circling around, you can see the playground and the temple. And yeah, there's space for probably another 3 or so tiny houses on trailers here, maybe 4. And then going on this in this direction, we have like a little seasonal brook. I don't know that it's technically a brook, it's more of a ditch, but potential plans to build a natural swimming pool here. And this space, we're hoping to build a tiny house on the land. My vision is for it to be like a tiny duplex to reduce the footprint and to build it with natural materials, maybe cob, maybe cordwood, etc. And got a heart nut tree there with some currants underneath that we just planted. The heart nut we actually unfortunately had to relocate, so it's not super happy, but hopefully it bounces back. And then yeah, you can see my tiny house from this angle. And there's more fruit trees and nut trees and stuff that we planted over this way, but I don't know if that would necessarily come through very well, so maybe I won't go that direction.
Okay. Nice.
Maybe a close-up of the currants here.
Oh yeah, we see them. Nice.
Nice.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And we've also got some blueberries over here.
Oh.
This is my spot where I meditate in the morning under the blueberry trees or
Ah.
bushes.
Wow.
And yeah, that's a hazelnut there.
Uh-huh.
And this is a little hugelkultur style raised garden bed.
Nice. I love all the planting you've been doing.
Yeah. Oh, and there's my doggies saying hi.
Great. Okay, well, Raina, we have quite a few questions coming through in the chat, so
Sure.
maybe we'll transition to you and Sid answering some of these questions. Let's see here.
I see
Um,
the mosquitoes question immediately.
oh yeah, sure. Do you want to speak to that?
Um, sure. I've lived in New England since 2013, and I've experienced some places that were like way more buggy. And I've actually been surprised that it's not as buggy here as other places. There's definitely mosquitoes here, but they're not terrible, in my opinion. And there were hardly any mayflies. There were definitely ticks, but um, I've seen way worse.
Yeah, everything's relative. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Okay, good. And maybe Sid, if you want to tackle this next one, regarding the membership process. So if somebody wanted to join you all there at Mahalo, how would they become a member? It sounds like they would need to come and maybe bring a tiny house with them. Is there an estimated final community size? Yeah, if you just want to speak to the membership process in general.
Usually it starts with a contact improv dance. That's the first. I'm joking, but not really. Even if you're not a fan of contact or aware of contact improv, I think that just speaks to the notion of just the feeling that somebody gets when being here and like dancing together or convening on the land. So to be more clear, I would say the process is come visit and get to know us, probably attend an event to get a feel for the vibe. And there's no like formal process right now. I would say though that the clearest path would be to bring a tiny home. We also have talked about if somebody wants to put a fancy bell tent up, that's a possibility, something that we could explore. The tiny home village, we talked about having a few tiny homes, and then as Rihanna mentioned, build eventually there's plans to build a larger like retreat center structure, and I imagine we would need more infrastructure to support that and staff. But yeah, also if somebody is wanting to co-create like a tiny home building workshop that could result in there being a tiny home here for people to move into, that's a possibility as well. And
Gotcha.
I would say like overall final community size desired, we haven't set a specific number. There's 13, as I mentioned thus far, and we're on 3.5 acres. So probably like another 5, I would say would be comfortable, right, Rihanna?
Um, yeah, I think it depends. It's definitely, well, so the duplex, the back half of the duplex that's under construction, we're currently assessing the foundation to see if we can do a second floor in the final um, building or not. And if we do, there might be as much as 4 bedrooms there. And then space for like 3 to 4 tiny houses on wheels, and then the tiny house duplex that I mentioned. So potentially even more than 5, but not a lot more. That would be, yeah,
Yeah, I forgot to mention
like
what's
more like
under
10
construction.
more.
Yeah, I forgot to
Yeah.
mention what's under construction, providing more housing. And the timeline for that being ready is about 6 months, but it seems to be a question right now as to like how many bedrooms would be there, whether it's going to be a big open space on the second floor or multiple bedrooms. So yeah, maybe 5 to 10 is a better answer.
Okay. Okay, great. And how about the current people who live there? Do most of them work outside of the community? And what sort of expectations do you have for people who live there to contribute to the project? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty
If you,
low expectation. It's there's not a ton of strict like rules or this is how we do things. It's more open. Jason is here and does maintenance here, and some of the people here use the temple to offer different healing offerings or events. But several of us do work outside of the gathering and are entrepreneurs, run businesses, work on merchandise here, but then bring it to vend elsewhere. I mentioned several of us are part of the permatours community, so we travel also to go to different land-based communities and offer support in the form of teaching how to grow food and build structures. And as I mentioned, we're starting to do more regular gatherings, but it's not a requirement to be there. So yeah.
Okay, great. And
I would
then,
also, well, go ahead.
no, I was going to ask something different. So if you have more on that topic, go ahead.
Oh, just that there have been occasional opportunities to like pick up work helping improve the land and things. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Okay.
is more
And
support being called in to support
yeah,
with construction and other things.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And how about for the both of you, like what even attracted you to join this particular community? And was it what you expected? Have things been more easy or more challenging than you thought?
Yeah. Do you want to share, Rihanna, your initial entryway here? Also, I just heard the recording stopped. I don't know if you're aware of that,
Yeah,
Cynthia.
I'm not sure who that was. It's not
Okay.
me. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, I moved here in November after meeting them at a dance, at an ecstatic dance. And I was living in my van and deciding, or I was seeking to land in community for the winter at least, ideally longer. Um, and my goal was to find something before snow came. And and if I didn't, I was gonna head south and or west. And I had gotten kind of far in with one community and it just wasn't gonna work out. And so I decided, no, it's whatever. I can let this go. It's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And I'm just going to go enjoy myself, go to this dance. And then I met some of the people here at Mahalo at the dance and mentioned that I'm looking to live in community. And they were like, you could park your tiny house on our land. And so, and then they hosted an event like the week after that. And so I came to the event and just fell in love with the land and the people here. And I'm still here. So dance brought me here.
Yeah, and I would say similarly, I came to a couple events here, an art ritual, and then Permatours held our leadership retreat here. I was here like several weekends in a row and was enchanted by the community and the connection and the land. And then this house was available and they needed people to move in. So the timing just worked out really well. And to answer your question, Cynthia, of is it what I expected? In many ways, yes. And also, we've been navigating the inevitable of learning how to live together and coexist and challenges coming up, learning about uh, communication and also logistics of like how to best flow together. And I'm really grateful for the desire for harmony and overcoming challenges and wounds and traumas and being on this healing journey together is what it feels like. So yeah.
Hmm. Are you all using any specific tools or practices to help with communication and conflict?
So we've been doing circling as a way of like circling heart sharing as a way of resolving conflict and sharing uh, what's what's alive for each of us. Um, and yeah, we're lucky to have also our greater permatours community that supports with that. And it's funny because Sid and I actually just recently went through some conflict together and came out the other side. And like, yeah, so I'm super grateful that we were able to repair, and it feels like, yeah, um, we've made it through and we're gonna build beautiful things together. And I'm grateful that, yeah, that we were able to connect, at the heart and move through all the stuff that came up, just all the like childhood wounds. Like I remind her of her mother and she reminds me of my mother. So,
Oh, it's a lot of it what it boils down to a lot of the time. Oh, sweet. Yeah, thank you both. Thank you for sharing that. All
and
right.
we
Well,
also,
go ahead.
oh, just that we have, we're constantly always reading lots of self-help books and things and applying that and learning together. Like
Hmm.
lately, existential kink has been a really huge, practice for me, that's really helped. And just like, um, embracing all the shadow things that come up in our reality, like, oh, actually, like I'm, creating this reality, and how can I embrace it and allow it to transform by embracing it? And yeah, lots of other practices like that help us.
Mm, yeah, good. Do you have a regular meeting cadency, like your meeting and then how does the facilitation happen? Are you rotating who facilitates?
So we are striving as a household over here. As I mentioned, there's this like distinction between over there and over here, but we're melding together. We're in that process. But on this side, striving for like having meals together on Mondays where we connect and share what's happening. And then as a wider community, trying to gather on Thursdays for jams. And then also having ideally monthly gatherings around the fire, check-ins and visioning sessions. And then we also just have impromptu hangouts that happen. As far as like the facilitation of different sessions, the heart sharing is usually like each person going around and sharing from the heart. I wouldn't say there's like a dedicated facilitator. If there's conflict, then we'll have a person that's holding the space serving as a mediator, so to speak. And we have different people in our community who are practiced in that area and willing to support.
Mm, great. Good. Thank you. Well, I'll just remove your spotlights here so we can see everyone. Yeah, I'd love to open it up for those of you listening. If you have comments or reflections or additional questions, has anything you've heard inspired you or gotten you more curious? Love to hear some more voices in the space.
I found this really interesting and engaging so far, and thank you so much for sharing so much. And I could ask something deeper, but I just want to touch on the basic question of understanding if there's financial contribution expected from people.
Yeah, so most of the people here, besides the owners, are renting, and there have been work trade situations in the past, and there are some currently. So between rent,
Um,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Rihanna.
Sorry, we're actually, not doing work trade, um, specifically, but, more like doing work, getting paid for the work, and then paying rent. So it's essentially work trade, but
Yeah,
just wanted to make that distinction.
right. Yeah, I guess it depends on, yeah, if you're talking Jason and Ari versus, yeah, there's some intricacies we could delve into, but yeah, I guess we'll just defer to what Rihanna said for this conversation.
Hmm. So for a new person though coming in, what could they expect in terms of renting or a financial contribution there? Do you have some
Yeah.
numbers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for the tiny home dwelling situation, and Rihanna can speak to this too, so feel free to chime in, of course. But there's an expectation of paying for the land that you're on, that your tiny home is on, to the landlord. And then if you're using this space, this house for communal like facilities, kitchen, etc., then a contribution there. I would say I don't have a specific number for using the communal facilities because it's just dependent on how much somebody will be using them. Like if somebody has a nice kitchen and a bathroom in their RV or in their tiny home, then they don't need to use the space as much, then it would differ. But if somebody's like using the communal space a lot, then pitching in and like splitting utilities bills and like I don't know, $100 a month amount for using the space regularly, something like that. And as far as the land, Rihanna, do you want to speak to that piece?
Sure. So it's a little bit under development at the moment because there is some construction of the communal spaces. And I think the intention with the front unit at Ivy Lane is eventually that'll be more of a private space and less of a like communal space. And then the back unit would be more of like a common kitchen, common space. And yeah, and then the if we do go ahead with the 4 bedrooms, on top of that space, the intention is the rent would be in the $500 range, but that really depends on how expensive it is to do the construction. And then, and they'll be kind of fairly small bedrooms if we build 4 of them. And then in terms of like parking a tiny house on the land, the owner has talked about doing it based on the size of the house, and having it kind of range from like 3 to 500 once we have a communal kitchen space available. And yeah, not sure yet, like if we build tiny houses on the land, what kind of cost that might look like.
Okay.
But yeah, and there are
Affordable.
opportunities to help make it happen and get paid doing that also.
Okay. Great. Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. You know, it's funny because as I said at the beginning, we have such a wide diversity of communities that we have on these virtual tours. And, you know, sometimes they are multi-million-dollar projects with really, you know, big presentations and typical home prices, which are quite extravagant. And just it feels getting higher and higher, but it's nice to have your community. And I appreciate your forming. You're still figuring some things out, but yet you have also the benefit of that, which is flexibility, which is this more organic approach to development, lower cost, easier entry as well. So thank you. Yeah, Hendrik says nice architecture and gardens. Yeah, we've gotten a few compliments here in on the gardens. Great. Okay, Michelle, I'll let you go ahead and ask your question next.
Thank you, everyone, the two of you and Cynthia. So just from the ownership perspective and the financial structure of the land itself, it does sound like, so Jason and his partner own the land straight up in terms of some ownership, like it's not a community land trust, etc. I'm just trying to learn about that stuff.
Correct.
Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Yeah, there's two separate parcels that have private ownership, essentially, like 2 different families that own either side, but they're adjacent and we're one community.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. Not such an exciting question, but you
know. Important.
Good to be clear. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. And do you all, what would you say the intention is for the ownership structure in the future? I think I heard you say you want to transition to something more communal, but like, is that on a particular timeline yet? Or do you have community land trust in mind or some other type of structure?
That's actually a bit more of like a personal desire of mine, not necessarily the intention of the current owners. Yeah, I don't believe there's an intention to become a community land trust or anything like that in the future. But I would love for that to happen. And I would love to figure out a way for that to happen that felt good for the owners also.
Hmm.
But that would be, I think, much longer term vision. And probably we would need to buy out the owners or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and something I'm also calling in and have expressed, and it's been welcomed, is the idea of really understanding the inventory of what's available here from a resource perspective, knowledge perspective, asset perspective, and to support sharing with one another versus like, this is my kitchen and this is my food or whatever. We've also talked about like income sharing stuff. We do have like in this household a bit of like a work trade exploration, but that's not with the owners. So to clarify a little bit what Rihanna was speaking to earlier. And yeah, also there was a question about like food purchased and kept separately. That's mostly what happens, except for this household, we're sharing some groceries and we're also growing some food as well. We have arugula that's been raging, so that's been really nice. And we have some other stuff coming up, other veggies and fruits, as Rihanna shared. So, but I think all of us would love to be eating more of what's grown here versus buying food at the grocery store.
Mhm. Mhm. Great. Good. Yeah, and I can appreciate that communities get started in many different ways. And sometimes it is that founder dynamic where they own the land and then, either sell it or rent it to new members coming in. We had that at our community where I live, Headwaters Ecovillage. And in the end, we did need to buy out the owner, and that was very expensive, but we pooled our resources and we made that happen. And now we are truly, more of that equal ownership of the land. But that can be a transition, and some communities are still thriving communities, but they never get to that point. And some communities start out that way from day one. It just really depends. Okay, yeah, Sherry, it's okay that you joined us late. You can watch the replay. We're actually live streaming to YouTube right now, so you can watch this entire recording there on the YouTube channel of the Foundation for Intentional Community. And I'll put that link in the chat for you as well. Uh, yeah, good. Well, we're coming up in the last few minutes of our time together. I wonder if there's any questions that people are sitting on still, anything you feel like you haven't gotten a chance to ask or learn about. And if there's not additional questions, I
I have,
may,
I have
yeah,
a quick question.
go for it.
Okay, so thank you for everything. Oops.
Oh, we have a little echo.
Cynthia, I love all your community work. And my question is that outside of these Zooms, is there like a chat group or somewhere where people can connect if they're trying to find like-minded people outside of the big one, like outside of the FIC's around the world thing? Is there like a smaller chat, or maybe I guess through there, which I've never looked there, where people can connect about building community, or they can meet people and have meetings about thoughts about designing one in their own community, like that kind of thing? Is that part of the FIC website group somewhere? Or
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. The FIC does have a forum, a discussion forum, so I'll put that link into the chat. And there's tons of different topics there and discussions about all different kinds of things. There are also a number of really strong Facebook groups. So if you do use Facebook, just even searching for intentional communities, there's a lot. And then through what I do on my website, CommunityFinders, we of course have our membership program. So that's a weekly meeting that we do. And
wow.
yeah, and I'll put the link to that in the chat. I actually have a blog article that lists Oh gosh, I think it's over 100 different online groups and meetups and social media groups that you can join. So I think it's more so like a question of there's a lot. There's a lot of different ways. There's not like one centralized way, but many
Okay,
different ways depending on what version of community you're interested in. But I just dropped a bunch of links into the chat, so hopefully that'll help you.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Yeah, and oh yeah, that's a great question. Mahalo, as I understand it, does not have a website, but they do have a listing on the directory of the FIC. So I can put that in there as well. There we go. And Sid, would you say this is the best way to get in touch with you if people have more questions, if they want to come visit?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, good. Yeah, you can see more detailed information on that directory page about number of members and spaces available and the contact information as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, do you have anything you'd like to close up with? Any maybe just some nuggets of advice you could give to some of the people here? We have many people listening who are themselves thinking of joining in a community or starting a new one. Anything you could share with them from your own experience?
Hmm. Well, I've lived in community quite a bit over the years, and what I keep returning to, and this might sound quite commonsensical, but what I keep learning along the journey is that the people are so important, like who you're choosing to do this with, um, alignment in values and lifestyle, and that communication is so key. I feel like a lot of like the crux of a lot of challenges is a lack of communication. Um, and yeah, dedicated time for connection. And I think it's been challenging for me having a full-time job and permatours and other projects and balancing all of that in home life. And I've just recently been reminded of how important it is to take care of myself and invest in the people around me, despite the busyness.
Mm.
And yeah, and I'm also like particularly passionate about governance and the potential to co-create and to make collective decisions. And I opted to move here, even though that wasn't the situation here, because it felt to me like this place would serve as an awesome opportunity to practice and to learn together. And because the leadership here is very much like non domineering, authoritative vibes, it does feel like a collective experience we're creating. And I really appreciate Jason's style in that. And I really trust him and his leadership. And I feel like he is a good listener. And so yeah, grateful to be here and grateful to be learning a lot. So.
Yeah, thank you. And Raina, how about you? Anything you'd like to share?
Brianna. Yeah. Um, I would say, in terms of like, um, lots of people on the call desiring to be in community and not yet, I would say like, um, from my experience, like just find a community that sounds the most aligned and go for it because I feel like just like doing it is how you learn and how you learn to do better. And yeah, I've been living in community most of my adult life. Started in like student housing co-ops in Berkeley, um, and was like maintenance manager for a 130-person student housing co-op. So that was quite the experience. And I like, yeah, dove right in and um, yeah, I think doing it is the best way to learn. And yeah, and also like Sid said, communication is the number one important thing to work on and to improve on. And yeah, I'd say I've been reading this book on compassionate communication, and that's also really helped. And yeah, just finding people to practice, like do a book club with, or yeah, some kind of like practice circle where you can practice the skills, I think is really helpful.
Great. Love that encouragement to just do it. Find a community that you align with and jump in, and then you'll learn and grow so much from there. Thank you both. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to put a link in the chat. I hope everyone can tune in and join us on August 14th. So once again, we'll take a little break here for the rest of July. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the month, and then hope to see you in August to tour Holos, which is an intentional community in Costa Rica. So yeah, thank you all again. Thank you for your good questions and listening. And thank you folks at Mahalo. Wishing you all the best with your developing community.
Thank you so much. Appreciate so much your
Thank
time and
you.
for everybody coming and listening in.
Great. All right,
Yeah,
take